Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Hell yes, dear listener. The HSP boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 93. Thank you so much for saddling up with us. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate show preps, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 93, dear listener. Whoop! One of my very favorite numbers of all time, ever. One of Luke's very favorite numbers, too. Definitely one of John's favorite numbers, too. And you know what it is, dear listener? Yeah, not yet. We're not that close yet, dear listener. Maybe someday I'll tell you. But none of this really matters right now. And why is that? Because the trail grows longer each and every single week. And 93 means that we've got 93 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now. So let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 93, which is in the house presently. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, and TuneIn, all 5 under Zero Gravity Media. Find us on YouTube. Look for Zero Gravity Media and our God tier Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website, zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Each week, Luke and I like to call out one city. And this city, the magic of this city, is the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week is... All right, dear listener, yet another brand new rider on this trail and absolutely dominating the saddle this week. Dear listener, we've got Algonquin, Illinois in the house. Welcome, Algonquin. How did you possibly find us? New riders are always exciting. Algonquin, you have found the right one. Thank you so very much. And you have commanded this week, so thank you for your command of the trail. Now, dear listener, we've also got a dedication on the trail today. You know what it is? Today is dearest listener's birthday. Dearest listener, thank you so much for your everlasting, unending support. And Luke and I wish you the happiest of birthdays. Episode number 93 is for you, dearest listener. Luke, this week, man, what a week.
Every week is a week.
I know, man. I know it.
It's inescapable at this point.
I know it. So, yeah. And
what were the...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we kind of laid out a trail map this week. Actually, we haven't done that in a long time. That's pretty. I mean, well, we're going to hit some sites. That's what it is. So, yeah. We're just going to hit some sites along the way. No big deal. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good show. We got a good show lined up for you. Probably going to be a little bit of a shorter show. I've got an early morning tomorrow. I know Russ has a lot going on. Yeah, we can jump right into it if you want, Russ.
Yeah, let's do it, man. What you want to hit?
Well, we should probably hit just the DNC, Democratic National Convention.
Dumpster Fire National Convention.
Yeah, Dumpster Fire National Convention. Yeah.
Well, in general, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Dude, white pilling.
Yeah, it
in
was.
the sense that it's as bad as it could have possibly have been.
Yes, sir.
Joe Biden's speech was it's so pathetic. It's just the whole thing. It was just pathetic. I thought it was interesting how Biden was all about unity, and then everybody else that spoke, Kamala, and everybody else was just all about the right is deplorable and we have to beat them.
Yeah.
And then Biden's the one like, oh, we need to come together. It's, they're just trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, they are. And I don't know. I've got a little bit of audio from President Trump. He spoke yesterday, and I'm going to play most of that, a longer clip of that from that speech yesterday on Friday, August 21st. Here are his thoughts about the DNC, and I actually couldn't agree more. I'm just going to play about 30 seconds or a minute. You'll get the gist. Here we go.
Over the last week, the Democrats held the darkest and angriest and gloomiest convention in American history. They spent 4 straight days attacking America as racist and a horrible country that must be redeemed. Joe Biden grimly declared a season of American darkness. And yet, look at what we've accomplished until the plague came in. Look at what we've accomplished. And now we're doing it again.
We'll just cut it off right there. I couldn't agree more. It was very dystopian, very dark, and just negative. There was no positive. Even the Messiah himself, Obama, had nothing positive to say. It was just all negative. And Luke, I don't think in these times after this pandemic that we've just been through, you can run on a negative platform like this. I hope the Republicans really paid close attention because they need to offer a positive vision at their convention next week. Every person has to. Every person. Yeah. It's a big opportunity.
Yeah. They need to start laying out their platform for God's sakes.
I know, man. Mm-hmm. I know. Apparently the DNC did release their platform. It's 92 pages long. I haven't read it. I haven't seen it anywhere, and I've looked for it, and I didn't find it, right? It's probably on their website, but I wasn't going there to get it, right? But I didn't hear one speaker mention anything about it at all. What they were going to do at all. It was just Orange Man bad. That's it. Orange Man bad.
I tweeted out this week. I was like, without having seen the Democrat National Convention, I can tell you now what it was. And in 3 words. And then I said, a return line, Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're right. That was it. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, truly unbelievable. What else is there to say, dude?
Yeah, there's really not. I mean, how can a party pretend to have the competence and the ability and the foresight to run a country when they revealed themselves as so fragmented as a party, right? I mean, God, AOC, for God's sake, came out and seconded the nomination for Bernie Sanders for president. She didn't even support Biden, right? And the disunity in the party is palpable. Republicans need to unite and offer a positive message right now. And you do that, you're in the bag. And there are lots of things I like about what Trump is doing right now, but I think he needs to kind of rein it in a little bit and just be the president and just be positive, you know?
Like what, for example?
I think he needs to not go with personal attacks right now. It's fun to heckle them with their election names like Trump always does. He comes up with the nicknames and stuff. But I would remain impersonal right now and just win the election. Be the president, win the election. So I think he's done better about it, but I don't think he's been impersonal enough. And, but the thing is, Luke, I know full well, we know this president through and through. We know he's going to get personal. So, pie in the sky. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially after the way he was attacked this week. Of course, he's going to react to it. So, yeah. But there's not really much else to say, and we can move on. But I do have a Politico piece that dropped this week that I thought was very, very, very important. The title of the piece is "Progressives Prepare to Put the Squeeze on Joe Biden." I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. They're working to elect him, but there will be no honeymoon if he wins. The Democratic Party's left flank is firmly united with moderate Democrats behind the goal of ousting Trump, with former Bernie Sanders aides and allies creating super PACs and promising to spend millions to elect Biden in a way they never did for Clinton. But progressives, who are emboldened after successfully ousting several entrenched Democrats in recent primaries, as Luke and I have detailed at length here, are also clear. Unlike with Obama, there will be no honeymoon for Biden. If they follow through, Biden's ability to cut deals with Republicans, a central pledge of his campaign, would be hemmed in from day one. Signs are everywhere that progressives are unbowed. Former staffers to Charles Bacher, who came close to defeating establishment pick Amy McGrath in Kentucky's Senate primary this year, are making plans to create a group to help put progressives in the chamber. Top Medicare for All activists are in talks about forming a PAC just to put single-payer advocates in office and fight the policy's enemies. So we'll just stop it right there. But it's not really that much of a surprise, is it, Luke? Of course the progressives were going to do this, right? Rather than push their agenda forward through elections, if they win the presidency, they're going to push their agenda forward now through the executive branch. I would say I agree with this Politico piece. The message is pretty clear. The direction is clear.
Yeah, that's their MO.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So
that's what they do.
Yeah. And fortunately, they haven't really had the executive branch yet with which to push their agenda. And Donald Trump does a pretty good job of talking about that in the speech he did yesterday. We'll play that for the audio break. So,
yeah.
So, man, did you hear this story about, I guess one last thing I would want to say about it. Did you hear this story that dropped last night about Rose McGowan?
No, I didn't.
Tweeted out last night. Here's what she tweeted. I was raped by a top Democratic donor. Hillary Clinton shut down NBC's expose of Harvey Weinstein with one call from her spokesperson. I strongly believe Joe Biden is a rapist. DNC had Bill Clinton, serial abuser of young women, Epstein and others, in parentheses, speak. You want me to be pro-Dem? I know more than you will ever know about their evil. You can't hide behind your convenient morality. I won't. Damn, so,
that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, I mean,
well, there goes her career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was already. She saw to it herself several years ago that her career was over.
What happened?
Oh, she just she became so shrill, and she's always been a loudmouth. You know, back when she was married to Marilyn Manson and all that kind of stuff, she was always a loudmouth, and she would trash talk people. I don't recall a role she's had in a film in the better part of a decade, maybe. Also, her looks she hit the wall. Her looks kind of faded from her. I would say probably looking at her, she didn't take such great care of herself, you know? And then, you know, it was officially done because she was the major force behind the beginning of the Me Too movement against Harvey Weinstein. And you don't make a play like that and survive in Hollywood. You just don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, I mean, you know, at first she was going after Hollywood. Now she's going after the DNC directly, saying she was raped by somebody high up in the DNC. Top Democratic donor probably means superdelegate. It's probably what that means. So,
you know, what's interesting is like, I mean, dude, at every turn, it goes worse and worse for the left.
Yeah.
Because it's like now the Me Too movement is focusing its ire on the left. So now we're going to see where loyalties lie.
That's a great observation. You are so right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I know. It's good. So, yeah. That's a bold claim, though. I was raped, you know. Whoo. So, yeah. So there you have it. Yeah.
Damn, that's nuts.
It is nuts. Yeah, and I'm with you, Luke. I am you know, neutral pilled on this. What was the word we came up with for white pilled? It was some I can't remember. Cracker pilled, was it that? Is that what we came up with?
No, I don't remember.
I don't either.
I mean, we usually call black pill, we call it pill of color.
Pill of color, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but no, I'm very white-pilled about this. This is a major opportunity for the Republicans, and frankly, I think they're going to do it next week. I think they know what needs to be done, and they're going to do it. So, I
mean, I guess if you wanted to come up with something similar for white pill, you would just call it a pill, since whiteness doesn't exist.
Exactly, whiteness has to be canceled. So, I'm pilled about this. Yeah. So. Yeah. So what else you got on the docket, man? Here's the thing, dear listener. Okay, Luke and I have our takes on the DNC, but everybody has covered the DNC ad nauseum. We don't have any hot takes on it. Everybody covered it ad nauseum this week. There's really not much else to say other than Luke and I agree with the coverage that the DNC has gotten so far. It was a disaster. It was an absolute dumpster fire. So, I mean, that's it. Not much else to say. So,
yeah, to be honest, there really isn't. I mean, I listened to Biden's speech. I listened to a lot of Kamala's speech. And I mean, it's not even worth addressing. It's just, you know, I saw Ben Shapiro put out some video like, Ben Shapiro wrecks Biden's DNC speech. It doesn't need to be wrecked. It's just so obviously, patently false and dishonest.
Right.
That I don't even want to waste the time and energy. Like, okay, at this minute mark, he said this. Here's why that's wrong. And that it's a waste. It's a waste of our time and energy, and it's a waste of your time to listen to.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's just who cares? It's like the Democratic debates. Nobody was even paying attention to those. Right. And that's a way bigger deal than the Democratic National Convention. So why would anybody care about this? Does anybody even know that it's happening?
Right.
It's a virtual convention. And it's so funny, a virtual convention, man. It's like with this Corona thing, they really just shoot themselves in the foot, like at every step of the way.
They sure
because
do.
It's so cringy, the virtual convention. And I think didn't they, for Kamala's speech, didn't they do like that AI sort of like painting the crowd in place as if she's walking out to a crowd, but not really?
Yes, they did. Yes.
Yeah.
Silly. It's just silly.
It's cringy, man.
Yeah.
But it's also very metaphorical that, that's their voter. That's their vote base, their non-existent vote base. Every one of those AI people, actually every dude, you know what it is? They're all literally putting in Kamala's audience. They are literally non-playable characters.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, memes have become reality once again.
Right.
They're literal non-playable characters, NPCs.
Yes, they are. It's too funny. It is just too funny. Yeah, and I think they really wanted to set up a giant virtue signal about Kung Flu with this virtual convention, and you're right, it just backfired on them, and this is another thing. I hope the Republicans find a way to get some in-person attendance at some of these speeches. It's not hard to do. Just wear masks, social distance, and do it virtually and in front of a live crowd. You know what I mean? This roster on the Republican docket of speakers at the convention really like live crowds. They respond well to them, especially the president. You know what I mean? But sounds like he's going to do his speech from the Oval Office, so no crowd there. But we'll see what happens. It's nothing but opportunity. Yeah.
Are they doing the RNC in person?
I think it's virtual. It's funny. I'll be honest. I don't know. Let's see if I can find out real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking. I just looked it up as you were saying that. It's Monday, August 24th. So it starts in earnest on Monday. And it's taking place in Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. They moved it from Jacksonville to Charlotte. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Is it reduced attendance? Does it say anything about that? I would imagine it has to be.
Let me see. They're going to live stream it. The theme of this year's RNC is, quote, Land of Heroes. I love it.
It is. I knew that. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. The official business of the 2020 Republican National Convention, including the formal nominations of President Trump and Vice President Pence, will be held in Charlotte, North Carolina. Live streaming will take place 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. With the official convention business being over, the 3-day entertainment event will be anchored at the Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium in Washington, D.C., with various other events taking place in that city and elsewhere.
That I did not know. Interesting.
So that's I'm sorry. So Monday's in Charlotte, and the theme is Land of Heroes. Washington D.C. August 25th. Okay, so then Tuesday, August 25th, which is from 8:30 to 11, will be themed Land of Promise with Melania speaking.
Right.
From the White House Rose Garden. Wednesday, August 26th, from 8:30 to 11, will be themed Land of Opportunity, with confirmed speakers Mike Pence speaking from the Fort McHenry National Monument in Baltimore.
Okay. All right.
Then Thursday, August 27th, from 8:30 to 11, will be themed Land of Greatness, with Trump speaking from the White House lawn.
All right.
And that will be his presidential nomination acceptance speech.
Okay, so it's the White House lawn. Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of other people speaking in various places and whatnot. So,
yeah, there are. I
Looks
looked
like-
up the speakers earlier this week. I can't remember. You hit the ones I remember. There are numerous others, but
yeah, Nick Sandman,
yeah, that's right.
Mark and Patricia McCloskey, who were the
Right.
St. Louis couple charged for waving guns at Black Lives Matter protesters. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, Pennsylvania
Yeah,
congressional
very
candidate
excited
Sean.
about that. Yeah.
Sean Parnell. That's not the Sean Parnell from SNL, is it?
I don't know.
Let me see. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
No. It's not him.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Nikki Haley is speaking.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
New York
Don't like that so
Congresswoman.
much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Elise Stefanik, based in Red Pill.
Yep.
Elise
that's right.
Stefanik, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunes, Senator Tim Scott, Senator Joni Ernst, Senator Mitch McConnell, Elise Marie Johnson, whose life sentence Trump commuted after lobbying for Kim Kardashian West,
Mm-hmm.
and Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner speaking? I had not seen that. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
Trump's son-in-law and top aide.
Huh. I
So-
will just be damned. Wow.
So yeah, there you have it, dude.
Well, all right. And I'm sure that there probably will be, some additions and maybe even some switches in reaction to the Democrat convention. I'm sure there will, but probably all the ones that you named are going to be the prime time, but they'll have some surprises. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
So I'll be looking forward to that. I plan on watching as much as I can.
I do too. And I just could not watch the Democrat convention. I tuned in. I watched Biden in real time. I actually outlined his speech, took notes on it minute by minute. And after a while, I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. But I watched speeches after the fact. I watched Michelle Obama. I watched Barack. And watch some of the focus groups they had, BLM focus groups and LGBTQ focus groups. And
dude. Friggin' what's her face? Stands
Elizabeth
with a
Warren?
beer.
yeah,
Yeah.
I actually watched some of that. It was funny, dude.
Did you really?
A little bit. Yeah, it was just too cringe to watch much of it, though. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear,
Funny
dear
stuff.
listener, Stands with the beer. What was it? It was the Native American caucus, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the Native American. They actually had Elizabeth Warren speak at the little Native American caucus thing. Elizabeth Warren, who was proved to have been attempting to take advantage of some minuscule 0.1% Native American heritage to get into, what was it, Harvard? And
yes.
yeah, and then was capitalizing on that later and got into it with Trump. Trump called her on it, and then she did a DNA test and then publicly apologized for it. And now the left thinks it's a good idea to have her speak at the Native American caucus.
Yeah.
You cannot make this stuff up.
I know,
The
bro.
left is making... It's as if they are trying to get Trump reelected at this point. Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny stuff, man. It is funny stuff.
Yeah. Jesus, dude. It's just like, I can't. There's so ridiculous at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So, yeah. Yeah, man. But it's good. It's good for us. It's good for the president. It's good for the Republicans. You know, this is a major opportunity. There is blood in the water right now. And yeah, just capitalize on it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It was looking pretty grim there for a little while.
Yeah, it kind of was. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I'm like full on pilled now.
Yeah, pilled. Me too. And the funny thing, the funniest thing in the world is that whatever candidate from whatever convention always gets the convention bump. The bump this year went to Donald Trump. He closed within 3 points, according to a CNN poll. As the DNC was going on, I think the poll came out Tuesday or Wednesday. He's within the margin of error, and CNN is the one that's been like, "Oh my God, Biden's up by 15% all across the board," and Trump, closed it within 3, according to CNN, during the DNC convention. Rasmussen had similar poll results, with Trump ahead of Biden, actually. Always believe Rasmussen, dear listener. They do it right. They do it right. They were the only ones to predict 2016 correctly. Everybody else had it wrong. But man, I this is great, Luke, because there's no way, for example, the inverse is going to happen. Biden is not going to get a bump from the Republican convention next week. There's no way.
No.
There's no way. Trump is going to get another bump next week. So, and I honestly, I think it's because of just the negative, dark messaging, like what President Trump said in the audio clip we played. I think that's what it is. Who wants to vote for that? It's so far away from, yes, we can. Yes, we can. So far away from that. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they're no approximation of that at this point.
That's right. That's right. And even Obama himself didn't have that yes, we can attitude. It was just orange man bad. That's it. And boy, I do have one further comment. Man, all right. Obama really stepped in it, I think, Luke, because, and I read articles to this effect. I even may have some clipped and put in the show prep. There has never been a president to rip a past president the way Obama ripped Trump, right? Or a past president to rip a sitting president the way Obama did Trump. That's unprecedented. And it's not just unprecedented, it is tacky and unseemly. And Clinton did too, but he didn't go there the way that Obama did, in such a personal, nasty way. You know,
I didn't listen to Obama's speech. What did he say?
Just how the man is not suited for the position. He expected that Trump would rise to the occasion, and he didn't. He's incapable of rising to the occasion. He is a narcissist. He is incapable of running this country. He has failed the American people. Just all this kind of stuff. And it was, really, when he called him a narcissist, that's when it got really personal, Yeah. Yeah. It was nasty stuff,
Wow.
man. Yeah, it was nasty stuff. So.
Wow. Long way to come from, Obama, who used to be above the fray and above it all.
Right.
When they go low, we go high.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's a great point, man. I hadn't even connected those dots yet. Yeah. Where's the going high in this?
Yeah.
You know what, Luke? I've got Obama's speech here. I'm just going to punch in. I'm just going to grab bag. I'm going to go to the middle. Let's listen to, 30 seconds. Let's see what we get. Here we go.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
As you've seen by now,
here we go.
this isn't a normal convention. It's not a normal time. So tonight, I want to talk as plainly as I can about the stakes in this election. Because what we do these next 76 days will echo through generations to come.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit, see if we can get him being dirty.
Progress. Believe me, I know it. I understand why a white factory worker who's seen his wages cut or his job shipped overseas might feel like the government no longer looks out.
Yeah,
for
this is
him.
boring. I don't want to listen to this.
Well,
Did you want to play anymore?
Yeah.
You wanna hear it? All right.
Yeah, just for a few minutes, yeah.
All right. Can you hear it all right, by the way? Sounds really low.
I can.
Okay, all right, good. Here we go.
No, yeah, it's good.
All right.
And why a black mom might feel like it never looked out for her at all. I understand why a new immigrant might look around this country and wonder whether there's still a place for him here. Why a young person might look at politics right now. The circus of it all, the meanness and the lies and conspiracy theories, and think, What is the point? Well, here's the point. This president and those in power, those who benefit from keeping things the way they are counting on your cynicism.
Your what?
Cynicism.
They know they can't win you over with their policies. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote and to convince you that your vote does not matter.
He was just the politicians who are in place and who don't want things to change. Dude, Biden has been in office for 47 years.
Damn straight. Yep.
The reason Biden the reason Biden speaks so highly of China is because China is making Biden and his family rich.
Right. That's right,
that's why he's pro-China. It's not because China is this. I mean, if anything, they should be lambasting China for their wealth. I mean, if you want to, we've detailed this on previous episodes. Like, if you want to see wealth inequality, go to China.
Right.
You'll see a Lamborghini parked on the street with like some of the worst states of poverty you've ever seen on the other side of the street.
Right, with tuk-tuks across the street, you know?
Yeah, you're going to see Lamborghinis overtaking tuk-tuks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, not really, because tuk-tuks are Thailand. And yeah. But the point stands. If anything, they should be lambasting China. Oh, they had it right 40 years ago when they were communists. Now they're all free market, and look at the wealth inequality. That theoretically, one would think that's what they would be saying. But no, China, they've done so well, blah, blah, blah. No, the reason you're saying that, Biden, is because you've been in office for 47 years and you've figured out how to work with the Chinese so that they enrich you and your family, your son.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's it, man.
So it's like every sentence which these leftist politicians utter is filled to the brim, overflowing with contradictions, dishonesty, lies, evil, just disgusting statements, and it's ultimately patronizing to the people to whom they're ostensibly speaking.
Yeah.
It's just it's unbelievable the gall that these people have.
It really is, man. I thought that a lot as I went through. There was not one speaker at the DNC, and Obama was the worst among them, that told the truth, right? Like, they do not have the truth on their side. It was all lies, right? And you described it perfectly, man. I couldn't agree more.
Do you play a little bit more, man? I'm enjoying this little grab bag.
All right, very good. Here we go.
They win. That is how they get to keep making decisions that affect your life and the lives of the people you love. That's how the economy will keep getting skewed to the wealthy and well-connected. How our health systems will let more people fall through the cracks. That's how a democracy withers, until it's no democracy at all.
Well, we aren't a democracy, so there's that.
Exactly. Yeah. What an ass. And man, this sanctimonious tone of Obama, at the end of his term, Luke, I was, well, you and I were in San Francisco. We were like, okay, let's just leave. Let's buy a sailboat and get out of here. I couldn't take his sanctimonious preaching anymore. If I had a son.
Yeah, Russ and I were like at one point, like peak escapism with our LARPing about moving onto a sailboat. We wanted to split the cost of a sailboat and just like hit the water and disappear.
Yeah. Honestly, if Trump had not descended the gilded escalator and announced his candidacy, Luke, we just damn well may have done it. Seriously, because we were like, it's going to be Jeb versus Hillary. That was the given narrative before Trump entered the race. Jeb versus Hillary, another Bush versus Clinton campaign, and we were just like, man, clown world.
Yeb versus Hillary.
Yeah, my bad. That's right. Yeb. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to remember, I mean, Russ and I were living in, I mean, San Francisco. Well, I mean, what else can you say,
Mm-hmm. Dear listener, San Francisco, dear listeners, of whom there are numerous. We're not trash talking the town, but you have to understand, Luke and I. How would you call it, Luke? I mean, we were disenfranchised by that city. I mean, Luke and I couldn't go to a bar and talk politics without getting into a scuffle. It started happening constantly to the point where Luke finally just one day was like, it was about a month before the Republican convention in 2016. He was like, dude, I'm out of here. I can't take it. And 2 weeks later, Luke was gone to Telluride. 2 weeks later, he was out. And I followed a couple of years later. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was over it, dude.
Yeah, you were, man. I can't remember what it was when you hit. There was a breaking point where you were like, I can't take this anymore. Was it when we got into a scuffle in a bar because we were talking about Trump? Is that what it was?
No, I think for me, it was just all of it. It was the cost of living. Yeah. Just the sense of, I don't want to say hopelessness, but just, I didn't know. I don't know, man. I was just in, everybody goes through this point in their life where they just, that was the first time in my life where I really was like, I have to really evaluate the direction that my life is going in terms of mainly professional career, because I had sort of hit a brick wall with my career and decided I didn't like it, but didn't know what else to do. And just didn't have a plan. And I didn't see a way out living there in San Francisco because it's just all of it's a non-starter. I mean, you can't get a good job if you hate what you do, and you can't get a bad job because you can't afford to. So
yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then, it was just, I'd been out there for 5.5 years at that point and had seen it all, done it all, and was just like, it's time to hit the eject button. This chapter's closed, and I just saw the writing on the wall, and I didn't know what else to do. So that's why I went out to Telluride, Colorado. It was just that was like the place where I cleared my head after leaving Texas. So it's like, I'll go out there and clear my head after leaving California. And that was the best decision, one of the best decisions I ever made. Because that's when I decided to come out to Germany. And that was a decision which gave me breathing room and allowed me to just take a deep breath, not worry about a whole lot. It's a small town. It's up in the mountains, and it's a lot of hiking and fishing. And it's just a place like that is a really good place to kind of clear your head, take a deep breath, let some steam off, and figure out what the next move is. And it just so happened to coincide with the time in which Jessica was visiting me. So we got to spend some really good time out there in the mountains together. And that's when we decided to get married. And then that's when I decided to come to Germany. So right. It turned out to have been the correct decision. But
yeah, absolutely. Everything worked out perfectly. But, I could not agree more with your point about what, when I first moved to San Francisco, I'd been there longer than you. It was very liberal, but there was this sort of libertarian sensibility about it, right? Well, it became a city full of Karens, and really everybody was so angry. And then the city began to become filthy, right? And just aggro all the time. And it is a crucible, man. It really puts a lot of strain on your psychology. Just paying rent does. That itself puts a lot of strain on you. But then dealing with people on the street, right, that they're just not like you. You know what I mean? They're just not like anybody that's listening to this show. It's an assumption of liberal politics. You know what I mean?
It's not that they're not like you, but it's that they're not like you, and and not only they're not like you, but they're proud of that and detest who you actually are.
That's right. That's what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like personally detest, like you are like some genetically flawed human being because you don't categorically agree with their politics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 It's exactly it, man. So yeah. Yeah. I remember this one time. It was on 2nd Street. I was walking with a few friends of mine after work. They were going to catch BART. I lived a little bit beyond BART, right? And
BART's the subway system for all intents and purposes. Yeah,
right. And one of my coworkers I was walking with was a girl, and she was pregnant. She was probably about 7 months pregnant at this point. Well, a homeless man came up to her and started accosting her, right? And so I kind of stepped between him and her, kind of moved her back, and I was like, bro, you know, we leave her alone, you know? Well, all of a sudden, man, this total liberal, like, I don't know, what would you call him? Like a liberal Chad wearing a plaid shirt comes and gets in my face and wants to fight me because I called this homeless man off of attacking a pregnant woman. Like, he wanted to fight. He called me an effing animal to my face, shoved me on the shoulder and stuff.
Is this the dude that happened like in the intersection or something?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Dude, it's funny, man. I was thinking about that just the other day.
Yeah.
About like how triggered you must have been.
I was sad, dude. I couldn't have fought in that moment. I couldn't believe it. I was just, it took me like 5 minutes before I got triggered because I couldn't believe it. You know, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, you're going to come call me an effing animal because a homeless person came up and accosted a pregnant woman, you know? Wow, man. I think I actually did eke out the words to this dude. I'm just astonished. I'm shocked by this. You know, I don't know what to say. And he cussed me out. And then he finally turned around and started walking away. And he kept shouting, turning around and pointing at me and shouting and calling me names as he walked down the street. And, you know, the pregnant gal, my coworker, she was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Blah, 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 blah. And she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. I'm like, what the F just happened? What was that? And she was like, I don't know, but I appreciate it. And it's just crazy. And that kind of happens on the regular in San Francisco.
I remember you, after that happened, you were like, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You were like categorically over San Francisco at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a trigger point. It really was. And it took me a while to figure out how to get out. It really did. But I had to go, man. Just the same as you. I had to go. So, yeah. Oh, man, it's coming back now, Luke. That really did emotionally scar me somehow, dude. Psychologically scarred me, you know? Like, my hands are shaking now. Seriously, my hands are shaking. And, oh, man, I'm going to need a drink after that. So I was trying not to drink during the day today, but I'm going to need one after that. I'll get one at audio break. So, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I remember that. You started carrying a taser around after that.
Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah, I sure did. So, yeah, sure did. So, yeah. And I don't know, man. All the near scuffles you and I would always get into. It just was such an aggro place, man. Such an aggro place.
I mean, to be fair, the scuffles were usually not our fault. It was one of our friends.
Never. Yeah, well, that's true. But, you know, like at Ozone that night when we were there, you know, you had to go use the bathroom. And I was like, dude, this dude's mad dogging us over here. He means trouble. And you were like, nah, I think it's cool. I was like, watch, as soon as you go, he's going to come over here and front me out. And he did. Dude, this Trump stuff that y'all are talking about, this is way out of control. Right? Yeah. And I mean, Luke thankfully kind of ended up talking him down and kind of winning the argument with him, you know? So he backed off. It didn't really get nasty. And the bartender gave us free drinks. It was
I have to say, that's like a secret skill that I have. It's my de-escalatory skills.
Yeah, you really do. You're very good at it, man. You always de-escalated anytime we got into a situation. You always did. So, yeah, you do.
I remember there was one time, it was you, me, and one of our friends. This is when I was dating. Well, I don't want to drop her name.
Yeah.
I mean, for no other reason than it's just, yeah, I'm just not going to.
Talk. Yeah, we don't talk.
But, yeah, I was dating this chick that lived in Nob Hill. I also lived in Nob Hill at the time. No, I had just moved to Emeryville at the time. But yeah, we were out. I was staying at her place that night, and you, me, and our other friend were out. And do you remember we were at that bar, as a sports bar where they have
the rec
like
room.
this, the rec room where they have like
I'll never forget. Yeah,
they have those like those sort of arcade games where you shoot the basketballs and stuff like this. And this like group of guys, there were way more of them than us. There's like 3 of us, and there was like 5 or 10 of them. And they were all wasted. And this is the thing, dear listener, about like dudes in San Francisco, is that they are usually they're usually fresh out of college all the way up to about 40. Usually. I'm not saying this is all, because if they're over 40, they've usually at that point already relocated, so either somewhere else entirely or at least to the East Bay or down in the peninsula. So I'm talking about city dwellers, people in San Francisco proper. They're usually like fresh out of college, all the way up to about 40. They are suddenly now making a lot of money because they live in San Francisco, which means they're probably college educated, which means they probably have a decent paying job. And it's like college 2.0. So they're just like testosterone ridden, high on life, and they're just ready to go, ready to party. And also mixed in with this holier than thou leftist morality.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Absolutely it. Yes.
So and it's just this perfectly toxic mixture of like everything that could go wrong in a young male. That's like 80% of the San Francisco male population. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they're like aggressive and leftist. And this one idiot started like putting beers on our table. Like he would when he'd finish his beer, he'd like reach around and slam his empty can on our table. Mm-hmm. And our friend started like taking them and then slamming it back where he was standing. And then he was like, "What the hell, bro?" And I mean, these guys were clearly in the wrong. But I was looking at the writing on the walls. I was like, I could take a couple of these guys. So could my two friends.
We were talking about it. We were like, all right, I got these two. You get those two. You get those two.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, there's no way out of this. I was like, we have to de-escalate. And so there was this one guy standing kind of by him, and he looked like kind of whatever. And I saw he was wearing a college football shirt. And now I just asked him, I was like, "Hey, dude," I was like, "You're into college football, huh?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, this was when Johnny Football was having his big season.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, we all went to A&M. What do you think of Johnny Football?" And he was like, "Dude, I'm a huge Johnny Manziel fan." And then we just bonded like over that quickly, while our other friend and that guy's friend was like about to start trading blows. Yeah. And then he turned to his buddy, and I turned to him. I told him, I was like, "Dude, call your friend up." I was like, "This is bullshit. Like, I'll do the same with my friend. Like, seriously." He's like, "Oh yeah," and he grabbed his friend. He's like, "Dude, no, these guys are cool, man. These guys are cool. They went to they went to A&M." And then like the guy that was arguing with our friend was like, "Dude, I love Johnny Football." And then it was like all perfectly fine after that.
Yeah. It was tense, and it lasted
a while,
10, 15 minutes. Yeah. So. I can't remember. I think we left after that. I was like, "Dude, I want out of here. I'm sick of this," and we went somewhere else. Yeah. So
that was when I came up. That's when I came up with my theory about strip clubs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. The capitalist theory of strip clubs.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Very well. Yeah.
Dude, why don't you tell it?
It goes like this. Luke likes the mixing of titty dances and capitalism because of this. It removes male testosterone-driven competitiveness in the sexual marketplace, right? It's all about money at this point. You know what I mean? And,
yeah. Well, it's not about the naked chicks. I mean, that's like, of course, that's an added bonus. But for me, I was like, first of all, we have to say this, okay? It's weird, like in Texas, to go to a strip club. But when you're in San Francisco and you're hanging out with your friends in North Beach, girls and guys alike, in North Beach, it's like bar, strip club, bar, strip club, bar, strip club. And it is very, very normal to just kind of, hey, let's just wander into the strip club and grab a drink. And then we'll go back. It's just not a big deal. And you kind of get used to it. Whereas like before, when I lived in Texas, I thought they were like this gross, disgusting institutions. And then out in San Francisco, you're kind of like, oh, wow, it's like a thing. It's almost like a tourist attraction in a way. It was like we went somewhere one night. I don't know if you were with me, Russ, but it was like me and a couple of other people, and we had gone to a strip club in North Beach. And I was like sitting there. I was like, God, this is so much more peaceful than a normal bar. It's like at a normal bar, you're having to posture and look around, and like, you got to like huddle around the girls that you have with you. And it's like being in a damn war zone, like from the medieval ages, because like back then, it was like warring tribes. It was this pack versus pack animalistic world of tribal warfare. And that's like what a normal bar is. And then when capitalism came along, it was all about trading with money. And like Rand had a great quote on this. It was I can't remember if it was speech or the dollar. And this was like 50 episodes. I couldn't remember this ago that I couldn't remember this either. But she said something to the effect of like, when money ceases to be the means by which men deal with each other, then guns become the means by which men deal with each other. And that was like, that suddenly washed over me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, in a normal bar where the male-female dynamic isn't controlled by money, it's basically tribal warfare at that point. I was like, but you walk into a strip club and everything's peaceful because now the male-female dynamic is all controlled by money. If you need female attention, you just pay for it and it's done, you know?
Perfectly transactional. Yes.
Yes.
Perfectly transactional. Yeah.
But when you're in a bar, it's like, who's taller, who's bigger, who's funnier, you know, who's richer. And it just becomes this tribal warfare over female attention, you know? And after that, I had a totally different understanding of strip clubs.
When you explained it to me, I actually did too. I'm not into strip clubs, dear listener. Luke and our buddy and I did go to one night with a mega hat and had a really good time with it. It literally was. We walked in there with a mega hat and the girls lined up for us. Right? Oh, let me wear the hat. Let me wear the hat. I'll give you a discount on a dance, or I'll give you some extra time. Right? We just stood there and held court just because we had a mega hat. And it was in the early days before things got really crazy, with Antifa and all the rioting and all that kind of stuff in the 2016 election. This is probably what I would say July 2015, something like that. Very early on.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, when we would go, it wasn't like you're like awkwardly sitting at the bottom of the stage, like throwing dollar bills. It's not like that. Like, usually we would like sit away, like off in a booth away somewhere, you know, not even near the stage or anything like that. You know, you're just in there because you don't have to deal with a bunch of assholes trying to vie for power and attention, you know what I mean, at your expense, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
I should write an essay on the
You absolutely should, man. Yeah. You absolutely should. But anyway, yeah, your thoughts about it, once you explained it to me, I was like, well, I'll be damned. You're kind of right. And I really hated strip clubs much less after you broke out that theory. You know what I mean? And I agree. So, yeah.
Good old San Francisco. See, dear listener, you can move to a place like San Francisco and still learn something valuable. Yeah, strip clubs aren't evil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So
I've got the door open and Jessica's in the other room studying. I should keep it quiet.
All right, fair enough.
No, I'm kidding. I think I explained all this to her at some point.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, what's that? What is that?
All right.
She says, and she thinks it's weird.
Fair enough. I get it. Hilarious.
But
sorry about that. I had to hit the cough button there for a minute. So, yeah.
Well, what were we on about before that?
Oh, we were on about the DNC and Obama's speech, and we were kind of grab bagging that speech and kind of got off talking about San Francisco and stuff like that. So, yeah. That's about it. And I don't know. We were just talking about how sanctimonious Obama was, and really about how the last comment he had made was about entrenched power interests that want to maintain their power in order to funnel wealth to the wealthy.
Oh, yeah.
And,
which is making a case to not vote for a 47-year politician. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Who got $1.5 billion for his son. $1.5 billion. And so, yeah, I really, not to mention Obama himself. What's he worth? He's like worth $250 million now, something like that, since he got out of office. Yeah, I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he's the top 0.001% in this country. You know what I mean? In terms of his wealth. So whatever, clown. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're coming up on an hour now. So if you want, we could do an audio break and then come back in.
Yeah, I think we should. We got plenty more topics to talk about. So let's hit the audio break. I've got it right here. Let's do you want to do the standard 5-10 minute 10 minutes, do 10 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, we'll do 10. All right. Dear listener, President Trump gave a speech yesterday at the 2020 Council for National Policy convention. It's a small meeting. It was really good. He was reading from a teleprompter for a lot of it, and he did like he always does at rallies. He reads a little bit from the teleprompter, and then he goes off script. I, for one, think the president needs to kind of stay on script for the next 72 days, but then again, I'm not the president nor one of his advisors, but that's just me. But he made some really, really intelligent remarks about what had happened at the DNC, notwithstanding those that we played in the audio clip earlier in the show. We're going to play a little bit longer clip now, just in case you missed it yet. It was hot off the presses. It happened yesterday morning. And so we hope you enjoy it. And dear listener, we're halfway down this 93-mile trek. Enjoy the president's remarks, and Luke and I'll be back at you before you know it.
But that's the difference. Very simple, isn't it, huh? It's a very simple thing. But that's why we have to win. We have to win. So now the Democrats are planning to permanently alter our political system so their control is never threatened again. They want to pack the court with radical left justices, abolish the filibuster, which frankly, I wish we did it because I said they're going to do it, so we might as well get there first. But I couldn't get a couple of people to go along with me. But, you know, my attitude was Schumer's going to do it. They all said, no, he'll never do that. He'll never do it. Guess what? They're doing it. They're doing it. And as much as we've done more than anybody has ever done in 3.5 years. But you know what? As much as we've done, we would have done more had we done that. Because getting those extra 10 votes was almost impossible with these people. Almost impossible. So I wish we had done it. I wanted to do it, but we had some obstacles. They want to grant mass amnesty for millions of people, and citizenship they want to give to many million illegal aliens, probably about 11 million at least, and they want to abolish voter ID. They want to abolish voter ID. To get into the DNC convention last night, you needed an ID with your picture on it. Now, what does that tell you about? To get in last night, a friend of mine who happened to be there, I said, why were you there? And, very political person, but shows me, he said, here's the ID. It's got my picture. It's like the most incredible. It's a disgrace. There's only one reason they don't want voter ID, and that's because they want to cheat. That's all. It cannot be anything else. I mean, you have it on everything. You have it on driver's licenses. You have it on everything, just about. And the only one they don't want it on is a vote, which is the most important thing you have is your vote. And they don't want it. And we have it in some states, Indiana. We have some great, really, voter ID. They want to abolish it where it is and never allow it to happen again. And that's only a bad thing. That's only a bad thing. To everyone in this room, your organization was formed at a time when conservatives led the fight to turn back the tide of communism abroad, communism here. It's a very important organization. Now Americans must rally to turn back the radical left, socialists and Marxists right here at home. And you see that when you see these people rioting in Portland, where you see the anger, the craziness. These people are crazy. They're crazy. And we won't let it go on much longer, by the way, because, they're supposed to police their own town, but we're not going to let it go on much longer. Because at some point we have to say, okay, you've had enough time to police your town. And by the way, they have good police. Portland has good police, but they're not allowed to do their job. If our opponents prevail, No one will be safe in our country, and no one will be spared. No one will be spared, including the people that help fund. They think they're going to be best pals. They're not going to be best pals. They'll be terminated just like many others. I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos. And that's what it is. I'm representing you. I'm just here. And I'm not sure it's an enviable position, but that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, when I made that statement, I was a little embarrassed by it because it sounds so egotistical. It's like an egotistical statement. And I was a little embarrassed. I'm the only one. But there was no other way to say it. We have to win the election. I'm the one. If we win, all of these things that we talked about, pro-life, by the way. Second Amendment, by the way. No. If we don't win, it's all gone. Okay? It's all gone. And I have to mention life. All gone. Second Amendment, gone. It's all gone. And many other things. It will be a totally different country, and ultimately it will fail. It will fail. It can't work. Economically, it can't work. We'll go into a depression, and I'm very good at predicting these things. We will go into a depression, no different than, maybe worse, no different than what happened in 1929. Your stocks will crash. Your 401ks will be worthless. This is going to happen. And the radical left will bring him along so quickly. I don't know if you saw the congresswoman the other day where she said, he will do whatever I tell him to do. He's perfect. He will do whatever I tell him to do. This is a congresswoman. And Bernie Sanders is saying the same thing. Bernie Sanders is saying, look, we'll just let him be in there, and then when he gets in, we'll take it over. That's what's going to happen, because that's where their party is. It's become a sick ideology, and we have to win. We will solve the problem very quickly, very easily. We have to win. I don't like this mail-in ballot deal. They're going to send out 51 million mail-in ballots to people that haven't requested them. Well, where are they going? Look at what happened in New York with Carolyn Maloney, a small race, and they declared her the winner. They don't even have the ballots. It's so mixed up, so fraudulent. And the only reason they declared her a winner is because I was right up. I said, well, hey, what's going on? 6 weeks and they couldn't count the votes. That's one little race. What's going to happen when you have 150 million votes and you have 51 million votes? Think of it. They're going to send out 51 million. It could be higher than that. 51 million votes, no signature verification. On many of them. In Nevada, no signature verification. In New Jersey, no signature verification. In New Jersey, the governor passed it and didn't even have the legislature approve it. He did it with an executive order, which is interesting. How do you do this? But think of it, you don't have to know anything about politics. You don't have to know anything, just common sense, right? And a lot of you are great business people. 51 million, it's not an absentee ballot where you request it, they send it, you send it back. It's good, like in Florida. This is 51 million people are going to get ballots to send in. So if it's them, let's say, that are doing it, and it's mostly Democrat states that want it, and they're Democrat governors, they're going to send them to certain areas, I guess. So people are going to be getting them and said, oh, all right, that's fine. And they'll send them back. In some of them, harvesting is allowed. That's where you harvest them all together. In Nevada, harvesting's allowed. So they'll go all over the world and they'll get people to sign them. Hey, you used to be here. They go all over the world. And they'll harvest them, and they'll drop thousands of them on a table just before the election. The other thing is, if you do this, you'll never have an election count on November 3rd. You know, the way we enjoyed, I'm not sure they did. They didn't enjoy it. But you know, the greatest evening ever was 4 years ago, right? And that night, 4 years ago, that was an extraordinary night. But we knew that night. In fact, we really knew before 9 o'clock, even though it took like 2 o'clock to call it. They refused to call Pennsylvania, which we had. If we lost every single vote, right? Remember, there was 2 points, 2 left. And 2 points left. And if we lost every vote, we won Pennsylvania. They refused to call it. But they called Wisconsin. They called Michigan. They called places that haven't done really very well for Republicans. But, you know, if you look at Michigan now, we're building many car plants. They hadn't built car plants in 42 years. We're expanding and building car plants. I mean, a lot of good things are going to happen, but you're not going to be able to know the end of this election, in my opinion, for weeks, months, maybe never, maybe years, but maybe never. Because once you go past the first week, you're never going to know what's going to happen. They're going to be taking them and hiding them. You saw what happened in Broward County in Florida, where they were every day, 10,000 gone, 10,000. Rick Scott, he was great, the way he did that. And we helped him a lot. And Governor DeSantis, right? 10,000, 10,000, 10. If we would have waited a couple of days, you wouldn't have had the same governor and you wouldn't have had the same senator. We took very strong action because it was obvious what was going on. So now you're going to have 51 million ballots, Tom. Where's Tom? My Tom. Where is he? Stand up, Tom. Were you Tom Fitton? I don't know. It's Judicial Watch. They do a fantastic. I don't know if everyone agrees, but I do. They do a fantastic job. I wish he had more help. I mean, honestly, I wish he had more help. But it's not easy beating a system that's been in place for many, many years, right? Many, many years it's been in place, and it's sad. But 51 million votes, it's being sent, and nobody knows who's getting them. And what happens if you send them to an all-Democrat area but not to an all-Republican area? How do you win an election? This is really a very serious problem. This is beyond me. This is not to say me, or this is about all of us. This is about the country. This is about the country. It could happen the other way, too. I mean, it could happen the other way, too. I don't think it will happen the other way. I don't think it will. But I think this is a very disgraceful situation. I really don't think that you're going to know anything on the evening, anything meaningful or anything real on the evening of November 3rd. I don't think you're going to know anything. You're not going to know what happened. I don't think you'll know 2 weeks later. I don't think you'll know 4 weeks later. And I don't know what's going to happen. You know, there's a theory that if you don't have it by the end of the year, crazy Nancy Pelosi would become president. You know that, right? No, think of that. Think of that. There's that mad theory, too. You have heard that theory. Now, I don't know if it's a theory or a fact, but I said, that's not good. That's not good. No, there is a theory that if you don't have it, and that's part of their whole act, that if you don't have a choice, that the Speaker of the House becomes president. And that, I think, goes into effect either on the 20th or the 1st. And put that in the hopper, add that to everything else. It's a disgrace. They know it's filthy, dirty. Paterson, New Jersey, Virginia, New York, many, many cases all over the country. Just recent, I'm talking about recently. And it's not even the post office, although the mailmen become very popular people, I have to tell you that. That's happened too. That's happened too, even mailmen. But think about what they're doing to our country when they do this.
All right, welcome back to HSP episode number 93. And before we go on, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. You can find everything that we do, zero-gravity-media.com. And you can also follow us on, for our audio, you can follow us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, and Podbean, all under Zero Gravity Media. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell on YouTube. where you can find us simply by searching Zero Gravity Media. Dude, Russ, Trump's been blowing it up this week, man.
Yeah, I agree. He has. Yeah, what else you got in mind? I've got a couple of thoughts about it, but what else you think besides that speech?
I mean, just in general, like he's been funny and calm and just, I mean, at this point, how can you not like the guy?
Right,
you know?
right. I think that is, you hit the nail on the head. It is his calm resolution this week. And, you know, maybe he's sad because his brother passed away last weekend. You know, it was really heartbreaking to see him walk back from Marine One to the White House on Monday morning, man. He just looked shattered. Absolutely shattered. So I know it figures greatly into his mind. That was his first remark at this speech that he gave on Friday, was about his brother Robert. But yeah, there is a calm resolution about him now, and I agree with you. I think he's blowing it up, and he has been pretty funny this week. He has. So
yeah, totally.
Yep. And also he's doing a really good job of calling the balls and strikes. Right, he was absolutely right to come out and frame just the darkness and despair of the DNC and how negative it was. And he framed it immediately the day after, and he called it correctly. He did. So, yeah,
totally.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm very optimistic, and especially the way the poll numbers are going. We already talked about that. You know, it's interesting. A sports team, right? There has to be, when you're going into the playoffs, for example, I'm a Dallas Stars fan. They're in the playoffs right now. They just closed out the Calgary Flames a couple nights ago. One of the greatest games they've ever played. The greatest game that organization has ever played. Yeah.
The Calgary Flamers?
Yeah. Yeah. Just kidding, Calgary. Just kidding. And
Russ and I have a thing where we joke around about, like, well, Russ loves hockey, and so I would always go watch hockey with him, and we came up with names for all of the non-Dallas hockey teams.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they're pretty good ones. Yeah. Pretty good ones.
The Cucks.
Yep. The Mighty Cucks of Anaheim. Yep. Oh God, yeah, good times, man. And but anyway, they're with a sports team, any sports team, going into the playoffs, you want to see kind of an escalation, a formation, a direction, right? Kind of a uniting of purpose, a uniting of will, and you know, you want to see the water for whatever team rise, all boats on this team. I think that's happening with the Republican Party right now, right? We're seeing an escalation, right? A rising of the tide going into the election. And that's good. You know, it's good that it's happening now. We're peaking at the right time right now. It's good. It's good stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pilled.
Yeah, I'm pilled as well.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of all the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, the Sharks. Yeah.
Do you still think that in your head when you think the names?
Constantly? Yeah. I'll text our buddy about it when we're texting about hockey teams. You know. Yeah, I think about it all the time. Yeah, they stuck after all these years. That was 5-6 years ago that we were doing that nonsense, and you know, yeah, we did it for basketball teams too. You know, so. You know, we had. God,
I don't remember the basketball teams.
Yeah, well, they were a little bit more lurid than the hockey teams. We probably shouldn't say. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, and anyway, NBA. God, what a dumpster fire. Speaking of dumpster fires, everything's a dumpster fire now, man. So.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. So.
Well, on some pilled news, Laura Loomer wins the primary.
Yeah, she sure did. She closed out 4 really competitive Republican candidates, and
like really convincingly so.
Yes.
Yeah, she fundraised like 3 or 4 times as much as the next biggest fundraiser for that race. Mm-hmm. The New Yorker, how a pro-Trump Islamophobe who just won a congressional primary got famous on the internet.
Oh, wow. Who was that again? What was the publication again?
That was the New Yorker.
The New Yorker. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yep. She might just win that election. Seriously, she might just win. So
maybe, yeah.
Who's she?
I mean,
is she running
got
against Donna Shalala? I think she is running against Donna Shalala. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me look it up. I can find out real quick.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to do this.
And then she's running in Florida's 21st congressional district.
All right.
Let's see.
All right, I'm on.
So no, it's Lois Frankel.
Oh, that's it. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. That is absolutely right. So yeah.
Yeah, so Laura Loomer nearly doubled the next candidate's votes, which is Christian Acosta.
Wow, that's very impressive. It really is. So, yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Laura Loomer, man. I really like her. When she chained herself to the Twitter headquarters in New York, I thought that was the funniest thing. She went downtown for that too, dear listeners. She was in jail for that. So yeah, but she was protesting Twitter censorship because her Twitter account had been banned. She was an influencer. She had millions of followers on Twitter. And that was how she made a living, and they shut her down. And I think they shut down her Facebook, too. So she went and chained herself, closed the doors to Twitter headquarters and chained herself there. And the cops came and picked her up and took her ass downtown. So, yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So there you go. There you go. So, but I'm looking at Ballotpedia. The 21st district is measured by Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia as being Democrat plus 9. That's 9% favorability of Democrats over Republicans. There are all kinds of statistics. It is 52.9% female, 80.8% white, 12.3% black. It is a very wealthy district and very well-educated district. And considering that it's D plus 9, Laura Loomer has some headwinds to win. But I think, just like what we're talking about with Donald Trump right now, Luke, I think she's gaining momentum, right? I don't think Lois Frankel is gaining momentum. She's really not very popular, right? Laura Loomer is very popular, very well known. So... and that would be great to flip that district, though, man. That would just be fantastic to flip it.
Excuse me. Yeah, it would. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Are you all right with that?
Yeah, let's do it, dude.
All right. So, since Trump was talking about this mail-in ballot thing, right, and he's quite correctly, the Democrats are trying to rig the 2020 election with this mail-in ballot process and, virtue signaling about safety because of Corona, right? Have you been following this USPS, quote, scandal that they've been talking about this week? Have you followed that at all?
I mean, I know there's been a lot of drama about it, but not really in the context of it being a scandal per se.
Yeah, it is. It is. The Democrats are accusing Trump of removing mailboxes all over the country, which is stupid. Obama removed himself 12,000 mailboxes in his time as president. Not the least of which were the two that I used around my apartment building rather in San Francisco. There were two mail drops that I used all the time, and suddenly one day they were just gone. Those disappeared under the Obama administration. But Trump is being accused of, and he's also the mail service has removed mail sorting capacity, right? Because they're trying to streamline. There's a lot of waste in mail drops and mail sorters. So the USPS, the Postmaster General, has been removing those and trying to streamline the organization a little bit. And so Congress was out on recess, and it was such a crisis that Trump was trying to destroy the mail-in ballot voting process that Nancy Pelosi called Congress back this week on Friday, and they brought in the Postmaster General and grilled him. And I didn't really get a chance to watch it, or maybe they do it on Monday. Maybe it's Friday and Monday. I'm not sure about that, but there's going to be a hearing, and there is a bill to pass $25 billion of emergency stimulus to the USPS so that they can guarantee capacity for the mail-in voting process, right? So it's really interesting. I think what's going on here, Luke, is that Trump has kind of check and mated the Democrat Party on this, notwithstanding the fact, I've got an article pulled up about it somewhere. A really interesting patent was filed by the USPS in February of 2018, okay, or 2019, okay, almost 2 years ago now, right? And it was kind of really announced that the patent had gone through in February of 2020, right about the time that we were just about to lock down. And Luke, what they have patented is a foolproof blockchain method of ballot reporting where you can go to the post office and vote virtually, but vote with voter ID and on a blockchain that is indestructible. It cannot be cheated. And
who did this?
The USPS filed that patent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they now own that. So, this is the next Democrat step is, okay, well then if we can't vote by mail, then we need to, which Trump is right. This could be easily rigged. It has been rigged. We've seen it happen this very year. Okay. Well, then we're going to have to vote virtually then. Well, there's a system in place for that now. It's a blockchain system. So pretty interesting stuff, man.
That's fantastic, dude.
It sure is, man. It sure is. So, yeah. Yep. And you will have to verify your ID in order to get access to this blockchain voting system. So it's, without passing any laws about voter ID, well, if you want to use this technology, you have to show your ID, period. The USPS, yes, it is government sponsored and funded, dear listener, but it's also a private corporation. It is, right? So they can use their technology. They can put any standards in place they want to use their technology, right? So, yeah, we've got voter ID at the post office, period. We're a private corporation. We can do what we want. I'm with you, Luke. It's fantastic. Yeah. So, pretty interesting stuff, man. So, let me ask you this. I think I know your thoughts about this. We may have even talked about it on a previous show. Do you think the Democrat Party is trying to rig the election with this mail-in ballot process that they're virtually?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I do too.
Just the fact that that's what they're trying to do.
Right. Right.
I mean, just the fact that the left, just the fact that they're doing that indicates to me that there's, look, okay, the left doesn't do things arbitrarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, suddenly they decided, wow, yeah, we need mail-in voting.
Right. Right.
They don't do things arbitrarily.
Right.
Everything they do, I mean, if there's one thing you could for which you could commend them, it would be that they have a purpose when they do things, Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are devious. They are very devious, and they always have purpose. So I respect them on that. They're very strategic. So, but you're right. I think that's the ultimate point. Just the fact that the left is pushing for this means it's corrupt.
Exactly, dude. Full stop.
Oh man, too funny. So, but anyways, dear listener, this is a fake crisis. This is fake news. This is a fake scandal. This is fake. All of it. So I'm not worried about it. And the Postmaster General has come out and said, I assure you, we have enough funding and enough capacity to get all the ballots in on time. We'll see if that happens. President Trump was saying he didn't think that would happen on time. And I happen to agree with the president on this. But I saw a really good Jim Jordan interview with Neil Cavuto happen just this morning, as a matter of fact, on Fox Business. And Jim Jordan was like, listen, we just gave the post office in the stimulus bill a $10 billion line of credit. They have $14 billion of cash on, or $15 billion of cash on hand, which means that they have $25 billion. They're taking in more money now than they were at this time last year, right? What's the problem here? This is a fake Democrat crisis, and he was right. And man, Neil Cavuto, I'm kind of so on Neil Cavuto, man. He kind of seems like a never Trumper to me, man. And he was virtue signaling about the integrity of the election, and we need to make sure that this infrastructure is in place and paid for, and blah 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 blah, and kind of pushing back on Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan just shot his ass down straight up, just shot him down. So
yeah. Neil Cavuto to me is sort of like one of these kind of people that he's kind of cucky, but you know, maybe not totally cucky.
Yeah.
Just kind of whatever, you know.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I'm generally whatever on him.
Same here. Yeah. He's not one of Fox's best. They're not sending their best. It's not one of Fox's best. So yeah. Yep. So yeah. So well, yeah. I figured you probably already thought all that. That's exactly what I think, and I'm not worried about it. But we're going to hear all this leftist squawking about it for till the election's over. We're going to be hearing all about it, you know. So
oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. So man, all right. So what you got on the docket?
Well, yeah, I had Laura Loomer.
Yeah.
And then I had there's this tweet that I had seen. I'm gonna send it to you.
All right.
And this is super pilling.
All right. Okay. All right.
And you could, I don't know, you maybe could play the audio with it as well.
Sure, you bet.
But it'd be better. You're going to have to describe what you see.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let me paste it here into the browser. Paste it in the browser. All right, here it's coming at you. Because Twitter. Oh no, it didn't autoplay. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, here we go. All right, so dear listener, I'm going to play it from the top.
It's kind of loud on my side.
Is it? All right. It's Twitter, man. I know. I hate Twitter for. I probably just blasted out dear listener too. So
yeah. That's my only concern.
Yeah. So let's take it from the top again. It is a kind of a man on the street POV camera shot. Somebody walking with their phone held up vertically. Dear listener, let me just give you a tip as a video professional. Don't shoot this way. Okay. Hold it side to side in landscape mode if you're going to do something like this. All right. It's just better, rather than portrait. So as the clip begins, we see I know what this is, dude. I know what it is. We see a truck with LED lights on the side, and it says Antifa for Biden. Okay? All right, let's take it from here. People photographing it. We're coming up on another truck here, right? And we see B.I.D.E.N. and Joe Biden with a lost look on his face. One side of it says Sleepy Joe Biden, right? And it's these kind of post these weird glances we get from Biden, kind of post mental trouble, okay? And BIDEN stands for biggest idiot Democrats ever nominated. Okay, is this what I think it is? Are these the trucks you were talking about that they placed outside the DNC? Is that what this is?
Yes, outside the Democrat National Convention.
Man, they're really nice, aren't they? How do you pull this off? They're really nice looking, don't you think? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what the next truck says. All right, the back of the truck says creepy Joe Biden, and he's kissing he has this young boy's head cupped in his hands, and he's kissing him on the lips. Creepy Joe Biden. Dang. Right outside the convention, dear listener. Right outside the convention. And then the side is a moving one where it's the speech where Biden's talking about his leg hairs. And I've got these hairs, these blonde hairs, and I love, having children in my lap. And so they would come sit in my lap and brush down my hairs. And yeah, it's that speech. And it's creepy Joe Biden again. All right. All right, next truck. Rioters and looters for Biden. And then it's got the shriek woman on the side facing the DNC convention shrieking when Trump was inaugurated, and the no, everybody knows her now. Poor girl, man. She's famous. Yeah, she's famous now. So, and obvious SJW, and it says Joe Biden, please don't make me vote for Joe Biden. That's what it says. Please don't make me vote for Joe Biden. All right, next truck. The back of the truck says, if you can't complete a sentence, you shouldn't be president. And it's another one of these pictures of Joe Biden looking just kind of lost. Just plain creepy. And it's the one where he's smelling the girl's hair. Oh, man.
God.
Yeah. Man, this is great. All right, next truck. Creepy Joe sniffs women, and it's another clip of him sniffing another young little girl's hair. Luke and I have talked about this extensively. You know all about it, dear listener. You know all about it. All right, and Joe Biden. What is this? Joe Biden, China's puppet. Indeed. So it's like 5 trucks that we just went through right there. Man, that is pilling. And they did this. Do you know who did this? Do you know who did it?
I don't. Well, in the tweet, it says students for Trump or Trump students.
Oh, man. Oh, clever. Clever. Wow. Very clever. Huh. That's how it's done right there, man.
Let me see if, it's Trump at Trump students is the Twitter account. It said great work at Trump students.
Okay.
It's got 245,000 Twitter followers. Student movement fueled by freedom. Chairman. Okay. So it's one of Charlie Kirk's organizations and co-chair Ryan Fournier.
All right. And this video that we just narrated for you has 1.7 million views. So it got some penetration on Twitter. It really did.
Totally.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
This is how you win.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This really is how you win.
Yeah, it is. This is winning. This is what winning looks like. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. So good.
Yeah.
Yep.
We already talked about the DNC ratings bomb. Right?
No, we didn't mention that. We forgot to mention that.
Okay, well, we've got a Daily Wire piece right here. Let me pull it up really quick. So this is DNC ratings bomb jumped off a ratings cliff. The Democrat National Convention, close all the stupid pop-ups, which is virtual this year because of coronavirus-related precautions, has struggled badly with ratings. According to numerous reports, DNC viewership this year has, quote, jumped off a ratings cliff, end quote, as radio host Hugh Hewitt put it. On Monday, the first night of the convention, the DNC was down about 25% from the equivalent night in 2016, according to CNN. Quote, according to Nielsen, the 6 biggest TV networks averaged a combined total of 19 million viewers during the 10 p.m. hour, which was the only hour that NBC, ABC, and CBS showed live. CNN reported Tuesday. The same 6 networks had almost 25 million viewers combined during the first night of the DNC in 2016. The report added that DNC officials insist online streaming for the event was, quote, up, end quote.
Sure.
So how did it go? Up.
Yeah. Right. Oh, man.
And then when they try to if they try to ask Bill Clinton about it, he's going to say, it depends on what your definition of the word up is.
Exactly so. Exactly so.
Quote, when including cable networks, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, the total viewership on the first night of the 2020 convention was 18.6 million, an overall decrease of 27% from 4 years ago, the report added. And it goes on, but that's basically the gist of it.
Measurable dumpster fire. That's what it is right there.
Yeah, measurable. And then Ryan James Girdusky, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He tweeted out, Joe Biden's going to need 10 million more viewers in today's Dem convention than Kamala Harris had to even tie the viewership from 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
2016, Trump had 32.2 million viewers. Clinton had 29.8. 2012, Romney had 30.3. Obama had 35.7. 2008, McCain had 38.9. Obama had 38.4. In 2004, Bush had 27.6. Kerry had 24.4.
Wow.
And and he's not even above 20.
Oh, man. Disaster. But it's up. It's up, bro.
It's up, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't read that Daily Wire piece. I didn't know the metrics, but Luke, I could just kind of sense it as I watched Joe Biden on Thursday night. I was like, nobody's watching this crap. You know, I wouldn't be watching it if we didn't have a show to do. So, yeah.
I didn't. It was like the debates. I didn't even know that it was happening until it was. You know,
right? Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because like the media, they're idiots. They spend so much time talking about Trump that the Democrats themselves are. It's like fighting a battle where like all your troops, you have so many troops on the front line that you reach a point at which you can't replenish them fast enough because your economy is not going well enough. And it's like the left has found themselves in this situation where the media is on the front line spending so much time and resources fighting Trump that they can't circle back and discuss the left itself. And so the left is just entirely forgotten about. It's like this phenomenon where it's like an economy can no longer fuel the war and then it all just collapses, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like something similar to that where they can't fuel their war anymore.
That's a perfect analogy. You're right. Shooting themselves in the foot, man. You're right. They spend all of their concentration on Orange Man bad. That's all they have, man. That's all they have. So yeah.
And meanwhile, you've got like Tim Pool and all these other people on YouTube who are just like, you know, left of center, and they're all just like, Trump's not that bad, and Biden's terrible, and the left is terrible, and they're all like straight up Trump supporters now. Tim Pool and like his podcast and everybody on there.
Yeah,
they're all Trump supporters now.
That's correct. Yeah.
Which is also interesting because Trump has become this phenomenon where you can be a Trump supporter but not a Republican. Have you thought about that?
That's exactly right. Yes.
And that's something which they've weaponized against the left, because the left used to do this thing where they wouldn't call you a Republican, they would call you a Trump supporter, because calling you a Trump supporter sort of extracted out all of the ideology, all of the ideas aspect of it. And by virtue of calling you a Trump supporter, they were therefore also calling you morally condemnable. Mm-hmm. And that was this game that they played. And now, a couple years later, it's been reversed, where now it's working in Trump's favor because non-Republicans can call themselves Trump supporters. Because they don't have to attach themselves to the rest of the ideas. They can just say, hey, Trump's not that bad, actually, and Biden's terrible. Therefore, okay, I guess I'm a Trump supporter, but not a Republican.
Yeah, that's such a good point, man. Such a good point. Yeah. You know, the media and the DNC are hand in glove, dear listener. Everybody knows it. We've always argued that in these hallowed halls, and Luke is right. They have really stepped in it this time, and they can't. I don't think they can course correct in the next 72 days. Is that what it is? 72 days? I think that's right. So yeah, I don't think they can. It's too late, right? They tried to this week. Everybody was coming out and talking about Kamala's speech. Oh, it was historic. She's so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
All this. Yeah. And they tried to, but nobody, they've conditioned their own audience to not want to listen to that anymore. They want to hear them shit talk the president. That's what they want. And so these shows ratings plummeted this week in comparison to like Fox News and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So good, man.
It's hilarious to me, man. They're just crumbling under their own weight.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. And oh God. And once again, you know, we kind of left the convention anyway, but you can just see it in the fractionalization within the party. Do you think, dear listener, do you think the Republican convention is going to be as fractionalized, broken down into all these independent caucuses next week? Or do you think it's going to be united? I've got my guess. I bet you guess the same. It's going to be a united front. And yeah, it's great, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, they're screwed. I don't see how there's any way coming out of this.
I actually don't either. So,
well, before we get out of here, unless there's anything you want to discuss, I was going to say if you wanted, we could discuss the video that you sent me.
Yeah. One final thing before we get to that, I just want to know your thoughts about Steve Bannon being arrested this week. What you think? Do you think anything about it? You not worried about it? What you think?
I'm not too worried about it. Steve Bannon's kind of doing his own thing. He'll be fine.
I think so too. I also happen to think that Steve Bannon is smart enough that he would not make the mistakes for which, dear listener, background information, Steve Bannon and Brian Colfage, the organizers of We Build the Wall, who built those 2 privately funded sections of wall, right? I donated $50 to We Build the Wall. They've been accused of wire fraud and embezzling funds from the 25 plus million that was raised. And they both went downtown, and Steve Bannon was actually on a yacht talking to a very rich Chinese exile on his yacht in Connecticut. I can't remember exactly where they were anchored, but the feds came for him. It was actually the USPS police that came for him, took him downtown, and of course, where is it being tried? In the Southern District of New York. Amazing, isn't it? Just amazing.
Amazing.
I don't. Yeah. And dear listener, last night I show prepped last night, and I was telling Luke this morning that I really wanted to. Luke and I are not in the business of playing other people's podcasts on our airwaves, right? But Steve Bannon came back to the War Room, his podcast, which is a very successful podcast, after he was released from jail yesterday, and he came out and defended himself, calling it a political witch hunt, a political attack, much like what happened to Roger Stone. I suspect that he's right about this. And he was like, I pleaded not guilty, and I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to win. You know what I mean? This is a bunch of crap. And Luke and I really wanted to play that audio, but guess what? YouTube killed that episode of The War Room. You can no longer find it. Amazing. Amazing, isn't it? So
Yeah. Did you know, unrelated, did you know Trey Gowdy has a podcast?
No, I didn't. Had no idea.
Fox News hosts it on their playlist feature on YouTube.
I'll be damned. I didn't know that. I wonder if he's part of like Fox Nation or if they just put it on YouTube. I had no idea. So
yeah, I don't know. I saw it on YouTube today, and I was like,
right.
Okay.
I'll check it out at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, man. There's so much content to get through.
I know, man. I know it's out of control, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, why don't we do? All right. Well, then let's move on. Why don't we discuss this video that you sent me this week, and then we'll try to get out of here. We got 20 more minutes. Maybe we could. I don't know. We could talk for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes on this.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. So, you wanna bring us in on this? I could do it too. Either way. Dear listener, a new political party was founded this week. This is going to be the political action wing of the alt-right. Okay. And it was founded by Mike Enoch, one of the hosts of a podcast called The Right Stuff. Okay, it is a white nationalist.
The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff is the Right Stuff.biz. That's right. Like the business entity, but TDS is the podcast. Yeah, TDS.
Yeah, TDS. Yep. Which stands for the Daily Shoah. Very anti-Semitic term, intentionally so. And
Shoah is a Hebrew term for Holocaust.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, anyway, so Mike Enoch founded a political party this week called the National Justice Party. Okay. And I found it on Thursday. They had an event I guess it was last Saturday, Luke, right about the time we were probably in the zone. And I didn't really hear about it until Thursday. Right. And so I found it, watched the video, sent it to Luke, and my comment to Luke was I found it interesting, but not interesting. What do you think in general before we like kind of grab bag this? What did you think about it, man?
I mean, I've had a lot of time to reflect on my thoughts on the alt-right in general over the last couple years. And so that was very, for me, revealing. I was, sort of in real time, I was really able to pick apart a lot of what he was saying. And by the end of it, I was just like, Jesus Christ, these guys have not grown intellectually at all.
No, they haven't. You're right.
And if anything, they've gone backwards.
Yeah.
And I think they're I think they are as philosophically bankrupt as the movement from which they left, which was libertarianism.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
So a lot of it, you're hearing and you're like, yeah, you kind of want to, your initial reaction is to say that, but Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of, I don't know. Why don't we just grab bag it and we'll see what happens?
Yeah, that sounds good. So, and dear listener, just a little bit more context, okay? These are the people that held that rally in the night before the Charlottesville disaster 2 years ago, in which Heather Heyer was killed by James Fields. It looked to me like it was accidental, but James Fields got, what, a 400-year sentence for it or something like that? Like 4 lifetime sentences or something? And he was part of this organization. They were the ones that did the Tiki Torch rally the night before, okay? And we could get into all the lies that they've been telling about Trump. Even Biden himself in his speech did when he said that there are very fine people on the alt-right. That's not what Trump said at all, but everybody else has already dissected it. It's boring, frankly, and it might be a little bit more interesting just to go ahead and get into this, but we just want you to know exactly who these guys are, right? This is one great thing about free speech, dear listener, and everybody should have it. There is no hate speech, okay? Because you find out exactly where someone is. And they do define exactly where they're at, Luke. They do. So, yeah. So, all right, where you want to jump in at? It's a 32-minute clip. What you think?
Yeah, just maybe the first few minutes.
First few minutes? All right. I'm going to jump in at right before minute 2. Here we go.
In America and the world. So we are told every day by pundits, by intellectuals, by people on TV, people in universities, we're told every day, our nation is about ideas. It's about ideas, concepts, freedom, equality, liberty. No, a nation is people. Yes! A nation is built by its people. You cannot have those moral, philosophical foundations without the people who spawned those ideas in the first place. And the ideas of freedom, liberty, justice, those come out of the European intellectual tradition, the European philosophical tradition, the white philosophical tradition. Those are our ideas, our concepts. Our nations are built on them. Do you think that there are any other nations built on those concepts anywhere in the world? That is our heritage, our legacy. You cannot have a nation of rights, a nation of justice, a nation of liberty without a white majority forever.
All right, you can stop there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there, man?
It's the same thing that I've always said about the alt-right. It's a really sexy argument, isn't it? Like when they pick apart crime statistics by race and all that, that also is a really sexy argument. And that happens to be a stronger argument than this one, okay? No, the Constitution is what this nation is about, right? A nation is not about its people. It is about its founding documents in the unique case of the United States of America, right? And what we see here right off the bat, right? Freedom, individualism, liberty, conflated right off the bat in the very first 2 minutes of this address about what the National Justice Party is, conflated with collectivism. A nation is its people, not its individuals. And this is what I find throughout this speech, Luke, is that he just kind of jumps back and forth seamlessly between freedom, individualism, and collectivism. And he uses both premises, which are mutually exclusive, in order to make a dialectic, a rhetorical point that falls under its own weight. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, so what do you say? Oh, and I love the way he mocks all of that. Oh, freedom, liberty, individual rights. A nation is its people. And then you hear, I mean, the people in the background where they're like, yeah. It's like, dude, like you really have nothing more else to live for than being a part of this little movement of yours. Like maybe try to internalize some other purpose. And so there's that. But then the whole idea, I mean, so yeah, the insulting mockery of the very things which made our nation what it is. Like, it wasn't, God, this is what gets me about the alt-right. It was not, look at Europe before these ideas. What was Europe before these ideas?
There you go. Right.
Feudalism, violence, poverty, misery, authoritarianism, war, short lifespans, people, average mortality being 30 years old. Now, if you made it to the age of 18, 20, you had a high likelihood of making it to 40 or 50, but so many children died in the first couple of years of life that it brought all that down to 30. So it's not as if everybody died around 30, but if you made it to 18 or 20, you had a really good likelihood of making it much farther. But whatever the case, what was it before these ideas? I wouldn't want to live it. I would rather live in Brazil today than Europe in 1800.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
It's not about a nation is its people, blah, blah, blah. I mean, for the most part, a nation is, literally speaking, a nation is a geographic territory. But if you want to talk about what it is culturally and what it is, what it is culturally, what it is politically, then yes, you're dealing with ideas. The ideas of a people, but the ideas nonetheless. But the people are people within a geographic territory. And then the other idea is nobody else, he said, nobody else can uphold these ideas unless they are European or unless it's a European majority for forever. Well, Hong Kong would beg to differ.
Right.
On that. Now he would say, but Hong Kong was a British territory.
No state. Yeah.
Well, no, he would say Hong Kong's a British territory. Those are white ideas. Well, yeah, white ideas in a non-white territory, overwhelmingly non-white. So they're so shallow, dude. Like, it's funny, man. They fall hook, line, and sinker for critical race theory.
Yeah, they do. They sure do.
That's all it is. It's just critical race theory as applied to the white race. That's all it is.
Yep. Sure is.
And sure is. Yeah. I mean, so critical race theory proposes that white supremacy and racial power are maintained over time. So it first addresses white supremacy, but really the core of it is that your race will determine your experience and therefore your outcome. And they're just falling for that hook, line, and sinker, dude. They are just Frankfurt School shit libs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of the white race. That's all it is.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. And go ahead.
But it's sexy. It's very effective at whipping people into a frenzy. By the way, so is the left. The reason the left is so difficult to deal with is for the very same reason. Because people love to buy into collective. It's a feeling. I don't have to look. It's difficult to develop a sense of personal identity, individual identity. If somebody can just bestow upon you some sense of identity to which you can attach yourself, that's so much easier than having to go out and do it yourself and read books and determine what you're interested in and go seek out those people who are also interested in those things and move to a place that satisfies your needs and your desires and the things that you want to pursue in life and all of this sort of thing. That takes work over a long period of time, and that's difficult to do. It's a lot easier for some professor or some person in a speech like this to come along and say, hey, forget about all of that. You're white, and therefore here's what you care about.
Right.
And that's sexy. People go, yeah, you know what? And I used to do the same thing. I mean, hell, I've still got here on my desk right next to me, 2 feet away, is my, I've got like a little model statue of the Edinburgh Castle. I've got my William Wallace statue thing up and like some little Scottish soldiers there. And I like it now because it's nice to look at and it's fun. And like, I have a heritage of Scottish and Irish lineage. But the reason I got him back then was because I had a heritage of, I'm from a lineage of Scottish and Irish, and I identify when I was young and in my teens. I remember like very viscerally identifying with that, and that's why I was excited to buy those things back then when I was visiting Scotland. But now I'm kind of just like, no, I am me, and I am who I am, and I have a very developed sense of personal identity and values. And I keep those things around because there is some part of me that identifies with that, but a small part at this point, that is, it's not all consuming for me, that isn't, that isn't all who I am and only who I am. I'm much more than just some sort of genetic lineage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's just outrage porn, man. Seriously, this whole movement is outrage porn. And, I sent this to you. I was like, dang, this may become a thing in like 20 or 30 years. It won't. The outrage will burn out. It's the same thing I've been thinking about with all these riots and stuff. This can't last. It's outrage porn, right?
Well,
That's what it is.
It's the height of irony, and it's funny. Maybe you could rewind it, but I think, didn't he say justice was that he was making a mockery of justice? He was like, think of these philosophical ideas of individualism and rights and justice. A nation is its people. Yeah. Then he says, so I'm announcing my party, the National Justice Party. Right. He mocked his very own name, the name of his very own party, which he's launching in the same speech.
Indeed.
I mean, and this is the other thing. How cowardly. Just call it the National White Party. The National...
Yeah, that's what it is.
Ethno-European. But stop being a coward. Stop being a pussy. And just call your party what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Gee, they go on and on about this, and it's like, dude, just stop being a pussy and call your party what it is. Just the National Ethno-State... I don't know, Anglo-Saxon party. I don't know what you want to call it, but call it what it is. Don't pretend to be the National Justice Party. And then in the same speech in which you are announcing its inception, make a mockery of the very word of which it's named.
Right.
Good God, dude.
I know, man.
Let's keep listening. I want to hear some of these other guys. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
That today, our country, founded by white men with the intention of protecting the sovereign rights of the people, refuses to protect our rights, specifically refuses to protect our rights on racial grounds. Meanwhile, the rights of anarchists, of criminals, and of wealthy plutocrats are totally protected. Yet where are we? We have no protection. How many times have we seen the familiar scene? A Black Lives Matter riot is going on. Anarchists are flooding the streets. Buildings are burning. Statues are toppling. And an unfortunate motorist makes a wrong turn. What happens next? We've all seen it. There's an altercation. Anarchists attack the car. Maybe somebody gets a bump on the head. Maybe they get a bruise on the knee. They get a hangnail. That driver, he's a terrorist. White supremacist terrorist. Lock him up. Fuck that. Excuse me. Those men are innocent. Innocent people.
These guys,
innocent people are getting framed and called terrorists.
You know what's funny? He's like totally falling into this stupid dude. It's like the more I hear the alt-right content, the more I realize just how boomer they've become.
I've noticed the same.
Because these anarchists. It's like, dude, when did you guys fall out of the loop on political philosophy? These guys are not anarchists. Like Russ and I called this from like day one with Antifa. They're not anarchists. They're communists. This is a boomer take. These anarchists, and there's a couple other times in this speech where he's sort of like, whatever they are, these anarcho-communistic libertarians. And he's just trying to jab at his former libertarian self.
Yeah,
right? because he feels let down and betrayed by the lack of philosophical foundation of libertarianism. So his response is to buy wholesale into critical race theory, denounce philosophy because it failed him, and then try to skew other enemy, the philosophy of enemies into being something which he used to be, so he can make himself feel better.
Yeah, I think that's right, man.
Because these are not a small majority of Antifa are anarcho-communists, sure, but at the end of the day, they're all just communists.
They're communists.
But if you were to say like, oh, blah blah blah, these communists, then he's sort of at that point then attaching himself. I mean, this is actually a huge tell. that the fact that he won't name them as being communists.
Yeah, it is.
This is a huge
because
tell.
they're socialists. It's socialism. They literally advocate that socialism is okay if it's only white people involved because white people are so altruistic, right? They argue for socialism for white people. Let that sink in. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the thing that gets me, I was just thinking about something. What was it? Oh yeah, it's this. Okay. You're right. And I want to double down on a point that you just brought up. In his intentional, either misdefining BLM in this case, intentionally misdefining it, or how do I say this? Intentionally misdefining what Antifa is, right? Or lying about it, right? Or not understanding what Antifa is, that they are not anarchists, that they are communists, okay? He gives himself permission to ignore the fact that the vast majority of these rioters are white. They're not black. The vast majority of the people pulling these statues down are white communists. They're not Black Lives Matter in the ethnic sense of the word. They are Black Lives Matter in the organized communist state of the word. They're white people. I've heard reporting about it, but I've also watched a lot of these riots. Dear listener, am I going to listen to Mike Enoch right now? Am I going to believe him or my own lying eyes? I've seen these crowds. They're like 70% white people, right? It's not just black people rioting in the streets. It's mostly white people because they are communists. Let me also double down on Luke's point this way. They want to overthrow the United States, as Luke and I have explained in great detail. Were they to succeed and install their communist government, would they at this point in time still be anarchists? No. They would have the system they want in place because they are communists. They have literally defined themselves as a Marxist organization in their founding documents. Black Lives Matter did. It's on their website. Don't believe Luke and I. Go read it for yourself. That's how they define themselves, right? So I guess just take it this way, dear listener. It's a lie. It's conceptual package dealing of falsehoods. All of it is. Everything you just heard. Conceptual package dealing of falsehood.
You know, a big thing for me was moving to Europe. It's like, I would encourage any one of these people to move to Europe, live in Europe. You know, living here, it's like, just going to have to have a conversation about who's related to us because the government can come after you to pay for your relatives.
Right. Right.
Old folks home charges, medical bills. The government doesn't pay for that. You have to pay for it. They shackle you to everybody. It's like all my neighbors are white. And half of them I absolutely detest as either being lazy
yeah.
or annoying or just awful human beings. And so when I came to Europe, I was like, these people are living in a fantasy world. They're literally LARPing because you come over to Europe and live in this and like, yeah, sure. There's not Antifa rioting in the streets, but your neighbors are assholes. A lot of them are. And it's everybody pitted against each other through a form of socialism. And you realize, oh, wow, these difficult to understand abstract philosophical ideas are actually kind of important.
Right.
And it's not just, oh, hey, if we were all just white, then everything will be fine. Yeah. They're just LARPing, dude. They're just pure LARPing. They have very little life experience. I know these guys. I know they're a little bit older than myself. You're a little bit older than them, but I'm quite sure most, if not all, of the people in this, the leaders of this movement, Mike Enoch, and I mean Sven's too cowardly to even come out from behind his little basement microphone. But I know that I'm quite sure they've never lived anywhere other than upstate New York, and it's just. Yeah, I know Enoch lived in New York City for a while, but they're just, dude, it's just a LARP. They're just LARP, and like I'm convinced at this point, cowards in addition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
yeah,
yep, I'm with you, man. So yeah, but anyway, now they have a party, so we'll see.
The
we'll
national
keep on top of it.
The National Justice Party,
right?
That's what I'm gonna say from now on. The National Justice Party. Justice.
Yeah.
These ideas like justice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Too funny. Too funny.
Yeah, dear listener, when Russ was going on a minute ago, I had to message him. I was like, be right back. 30 seconds. And then I was back, I think, within about 30 seconds, maybe even shorter.
Yeah, quicker. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a backstory behind that. Jessica hates spiders.
Oh,
And
no.
she was in there laying in bed watching Young Sheldon. She comes in and taps me on the shoulder while I'm mid-sentence. She has this terrified look on her face. So I pulled one earphone off my ear and she was like, there's a huge spider in the bedroom. I was like, oh God. And I was like, okay. So I kind of just was like, okay, give me a second to think about this. And I had to I was like, can we just end the show? I was like, no, that'll be too abrupt. And so anyways, I was like 30 seconds. I ran in there, killed a spider, threw it on the floor, ran out, put my headphones back on.
Hilarious. Great, man. Yeah, it was probably 20 seconds, man. You did that fast. You really did. Way to go.
Yeah.
Way
I
to
just
go, man.
ran into the bedroom, pulled off my sandals, like, where is it? Bam, dead. Like put it on the floor, put my sandal back on, ran back in, put my headphones on.
Hilarious. Oh man.
Well, before we get off, you asked me what we were doing tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
It's actually pretty cool, man. There's a mining what the hell do you even a mining site about 2 hours south of here. There's a place called, I don't know if it's 2 hours, maybe it's hour, 3 hour, I don't know. Actually, I'm just trying not to dox myself too much. But no, it's it's a mining site. And it's so weird, dude. Sometimes when I'm on the show, I can't, for the life of me, remember basic names of things, like a mining.
Yeah.
I want to say a mining.
Gemstone, is that what you're looking for?
Well, it's minerals, mainly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's primarily minerals. And so basically what you can do is you can pay like 10 or 15 bucks for the day, and you can go in there and you can go through the mining tailings. And look for, there's a whole bunch of like cool different minerals. Some of them are worth a lot of money, but they also have silver as well. So
nice.
Yeah. So we bought, so we bought the gear for it today, and we've got a reservation there at 12:30 tomorrow. And it's down in the Black Forest, which is like the southwest part of Germany. Just, I mean, literally like an hour from France. And, we're just going to go through there. We got ourselves one of those things that you like put rocks in. You take a shovel full of like dirt and rocks and then put it on top of this sort of, not a sieve, but like a catch tray with, it's like a metal.
Yeah, it's a sifter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to go see if we can get some minerals tomorrow. And they do have some like semi-precious gemstones and silver and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Man,
I'm jealous. Seriously, I there are few things in the world I love to do as much as mine for gold. I love it. It's so much fun, dude. So yeah.
And this is in preparation. I mean, maybe if you come visit for sometime, we can do this. This is in preparation.
For sure.
There's a really good mining spot in Austria, which I've got freaking 6 weeks of vacation to use before the end of the year, and it's use it or lose it.
Nice.
So it's like,
right.
I got like a full month and a half of vacation to use in the next, 4 months. Yeah. So the next 4 months, I'm going to be off for a month and a half. But
all right, man.
But yeah, there's a spot up in Austria, like way up in the mountains, like super high up in the mountains. And you have to hike like up this mountain to get to it. And but there's some really, really valuable gemstones up there. You have to pan for it out of the river. I think there might even be some silver there as well. And so, we're going to get like an Airbnb in a nearby village and then like just drive there, park, and then hike up and like pan for gemstones. And
oh man, that sounds awesome. And it's Austria, so it's just intrinsically beautiful, period. Wherever it is, it's beautiful. You know?
Yeah, totally. Austria is fantastic. So
yeah,
we're going to do that. And then I think we're kind of planning a vacation right now for the couple of other weeks. I think we're going to drive down to Venice, stay in Venice.
Nice.
And then drive down the east coast of Italy. And then I found out of some town in like southeast Italy, just like at the top of the boot, or the heel, I should say. There's like a car ferry that goes over to Greece. So we're looking at then driving around.
Yeah, I've heard about that before. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's ferries that go all around the Mediterranean. I mean, you'd be shocked. There's like ferries that go everywhere. And they're still operating in Corona times. And these are like 8, 10, 12, even like 16-hour ferries where you get a cabin like you're on a cruise ship. And so like we're going to do this one. So it's an 8-hour ferry. So we'll get a cabin, we'll park the car and then walk to our cabin, crash out. And then we get dropped off in Greece. We'll drive around Greece for like a week and then take it back and then drive up the west coast of Italy and hit Rome. So,
and that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't taken vacation since last fall. It's been a year almost.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, the bitch of it all is that you were going to be in Texas, but it sounds lovely. Really does. So
yeah. You know, we're trying to make the best of it. I would rather be in Texas. I'd rather be in the warmth and the sun, but it is what it is, man. I mean, you know, it's not often you get a chance to drive, you know, around Greece and around both Italian coasts. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you're right.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Fantastic, man.
And I've been listening to all these like Greece and Rome lectures in preparation for this and reading about it a lot. So
yeah, cool.
It's like all these like city names and stuff and like battles that were fought and ideas that were born. These ideas, which were, you know, these meaningless philosophical ideas born out of Rome and Greece.
Yeah.
Even though Greeks and Italians aren't even white.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I mean, I wanted to say that when he was talking. I was like, dude, you do realize like these ideas to which you refer came out primarily of Greece and Italy, which neither of which places were considered white in the 19th century in America.
Nor do they consider them white at all.
Yes, you know? Exactly.
Yeah. So funny.
These white ideas. Oh God. It's so, I could go on again, but all right, man. Well, let's close the show out. What do you say?
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So before we go on, dear listener, don't forget to follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, and TuneIn. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Zero Gravity Med. You can find everything that we do, zero-gravity-media.com. And don't forget to... Is that it? I was about to say, find us right here in our own house, but that's zero-gravity-media.com.
Yeah, I think you got it, man. Think you got it. So,
okay.
All right.
It's like so much, man.
Know,
it's like, it's so hard to remember off the top of your head.
It is, man. So.
One day, maybe by episode 100, I'll have it down.
There you go. Man, we've only got 7 episodes left before we hit 100. Dang.
Yeah.
Actually, really, we've only got 6 at this point. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because 93 is in
crazy.
the books. Yeah. So, all right, dear listener, on a personal note, and I really hate to end the show on a pill of color, but I feel like something should be said about it, and I didn't want to do it at the top of the show, and I'm telling Luke this for the first time. We lost a rider on this trail this week, a fellow rider, has been with us since Luke and I were in late 20s, early 30s, listened to every single episode. He passed away this week, and he listened to us right up until the very end, Luke. And so I'm not going to dox his name or anything like that, but dear listener, say a prayer if you pray. And just know that we lost one. And but meanwhile, we're all alive and we're all here together. And we just made it 93 miles all the way down this trail. Luke and I are going to do it again next week for episode number 94, on time and under budget, as always. Thank you so much for riding along with us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we're going to see you next week. You believe that. And meanwhile, Luke, you take care of yourself. Be good, man.
All right, you too, man. Peace.
Later.